An East Texas congregation recounted years of faith and perseverance since the 19th century. Trinity Episcopal Church in Marshall held its 175th anniversary as a church family. East Texas News Weekend's Andrew Culver reports the church also made plans for the future.
The Trinity Episcopal congregation took their celebration to the streets. Past and present church members look back on the years past. Lois Rayner Mayberry is a deacon in Shreveport. Trinity Episcopal allowed her to serve at today's service as she grew up in the church.
I've always wanted to serve at this altar. This was my childhood altar. This was where I learned so much about the Lord. For one denomination to continue to serve God, as a family for 175 years is a great thing.
Remember, the past had hope in their own work.
Bishop C. Andrew Doyle prayed a blessing over a time capsule to be opened in 25 years. The congregation wrote letters and prayers for the next generation to see.
I snooped. I looked at some of them, and there are people describing what I did: hope, joy, love, hospitality, kindness. We hope that the next generation of leaders will take that on, but it's really a prayer of blessing and hope for them.
In 1851, the congregation formed and would eventually buy land in Marshall. Rosemary McGrill, who co-wrote a book on the church's history, says the original church building fell to the ground for reasons unknown. She says the current building was built in 1925, making it over 100 years old.
There never was an easy time. Just look at your history. There were problems before, and people survived and found their way through it. I find history encouraging for that reason.
We have faith in the future, not of this church, but of Marshall, Texas, and that God is here and doing something good in this place, and that we want to be a part of that.
Andrew Culver, East Texas News Weekend.
The church will celebrate its 200th anniversary in 2051 and will then open that time capsule.